our happiness is worth more than money. And that sometimes, like, however much money we have in the world, or accolades or success, however that is traditionally found, is good. But if you're drowning, which is what I was, like, if you can't feel yourself anymore, if you can't feel your heart tick and don't know where you're connected to, then what is the point? And I would just really encourage you to consider that and think about how you can make yourself light up again.
Today, you are in for a treat. We are joined by special guest, Anna Cameron-Bosse. She's a mama, a wellness coach, a woman on a mission, really looking to inspire as many people to live their best life and not wait till tragedy happens for that to be the wake-up call. So let's jump in. Hey everyone, I am so excited to be introducing to you just one of the most beautiful rays of sunshine that I've had the pleasure of knowing. Today we are joined by special guest Anna Cameron-Bosse, and she's been a part of the Empowered Women's Project. We're just coming up to our 3-year anniversary, which is so special. Anna is a traveler. She's a super mama of 2 gorgeous little girls. She's a teacher. She's a nutrition coach. And one of the things that I love most is just seeing her step up into leadership and showing women really how to live an empowered life. So Anna, I'm so excited to have you on. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Now, as we can hear from the accent, it doesn't sound like you're from around here.
I am. No, from Canada originally. So born on Vancouver Island in Victoria, and have been in Australia for 16 years now. Well, coming up to 16 years, which is crazy.
Amazing.
Apparently it doesn't lose my voice.
No, I love it. I love it. So I know today we're going to be talking and really diving into your story and looking at how we use defining moments in our life to really use that as a fuel to push us forward, or to pull us forward into our real empowerment in life. So I can't wait to dive into your story, but let's kind of backtrack a little bit. I'd love you to share, your journey of kind of moving to Australia and how we even got to meet to start with. So let's hear a little bit about your story.
Okay, thanks. So I'm excited to talk because I really think, well, people listening, I think it's the right place, but I have more and more become aware of the universe and things that it shows us. So I guess, when I came to Australia, I was never leaving Canada. I was never leaving my mom. I'm very close with her. We had a really special bond all of our lives. And I remember saying to her, don't worry, I'll never leave, because my sister had gone to the East Coast. And so just over 16 years ago, I ended up in Whistler. And I sort of did so because, like you said, I feel like I'm a traveler through and through. Like, I love a bit of adventure. I had never left home. Like, I had gone traveling kind of around the world and down the west coast of Canada and the States, but I've never lived away from home. I always lived in Victoria, and I needed something fresh. And I posed to my sister to kind of reel her back to the west coast because my parents were really wanting her home. So she agreed, and we went to Whistler. And we also went with my boyfriend at the time, which was, I think, a little bit of a ploy for me to, get our relationship on track. Bless. And so we were in Whistler, and things were going great. Whistler is an amazing town. It's a little bit different. I'm not a huge party girl. I don't snowboard. So I'm like a real contradiction to Whistler in itself. But I was going, to meet new people, work really hard, earn some money, and really go traveling. And that was all going great, except for in the start of 2004, I guess I got in a fight with my boyfriend, who I will also just say, we went to Whistler together. We got a job in the same place together, and we had lived together, but at this point he had moved out and was living in a share house. And so anyways, we had gotten in a fight, and I called him and get on the phone, and there's this guy on the other end who I don't know because it's a share house. And I'm like, oh, is so-and-so home? And he's like, oh no, he's just gone out with his girlfriend. I'm like, okay. So if anybody has ever been through rocky, not so good relationships, this was ours. And in that second, I had moved. Obviously, we were in this town together, working together, and my heart sank. It was actually, I felt like I took a huge breath in, and it was like I could hear the glass shatter on the ground. Like I was like, it shook me, because I'm like, okay, so instead of bringing us together, it's done what it's always done, and here we are. And the other thing that was happening at this time was my stepsister, and I will probably cry, had lost her battle with breast cancer. So it was like this horrific moment where I lost the one person that I loved, who I thought was going to be there with me. I lost my sister, who, you know, was this, I idolized her. She was just this incredible human that was always like such vivacious. She lived vivaciously. She was an artist. She traveled. Like, she was just like pure joy. And it was like everything got stripped back. And I went into a really, really horrible place. My sister and I lived in this tiny little apartment in Whistler in the basement. And it was so cold and so dark. And I remember our TV was like pushed up against a corner, and we had a 2-seater couch that I would like, it was a sofa bed and you could unfold it. And I remember sitting there for days in the dark, calling in sick, like couldn't face what's his name, you know, like couldn't go to work and just couldn't face reality. Cause I'm like, and now my stepsister's gone. But something happened. I wrote a lot in that time, and I realized that no, like Pam would be so pissed off at me right now for letting this get to me. Like she would just be like, Anna, this is your sign that you need to be living your life and like really not relying on other people for your happiness, which is what I had really done up until that point, I think. And so somehow I picked myself up and I'm like, okay, so I'm going to I remember being like, I am ready for whatever the next thing is. I'm ready for the next step. And so work was not a great place. So I was like, okay, I'm also going to I couldn't quit my job because I needed to work, but I was like, I'm going to get another job because, you know, that's what you do. You work more, I'm just going to keep working because then I can travel more because I'm going to have more money. It's going to be my out. So that was my plan. And that was all going really well. I did one night I was in, there's a lot of these are all my signs that are coming through right now.
I love this because I'm already thinking about, like, you know, you go back to the challenge or things that happened when we were younger. And in that moment, it feels like the worst thing ever. But then there's this bigger divine kind of reason for it. And I love, because I can imagine everyone listening right now thinking about their little things along the way too. And having a Pam in our life being like, girl, you need to show up.
Yeah. And I really I feel like I talk to her all the time, but you know, like it was like, show up and be ready. And don't like, Pam was just in her 30s. Like it was such a tragedy. And it was like, you don't know how short this life is. You need to live now, live for today, not for what could have been.
Yes.
And so anyways, I went to work one night it was a bustling pub at the base of Whistler Mountain, one of the busiest, funnest places, crazy places that I never imagined being in. And funnily, I was getting all these night shifts, which you really don't want when you're living in a snow town. You want après, you want it when it's busy. And I'm like, oh, I'm getting shafted. All these things are happening. But anyways, I went in one night. It was, you know, really slow night at the pub. And one of my good friends, Kath, was working with me. And this group of Aussies come in. And so hilariously, because I live in Australia and I love everything about it, but when you're young and working for tips in Canada, you don't really want the Australians to be in your section. No offense, I don't mean to.
I completely understand that.
What I know is I love this culture. I love that we pay well and that we don't subsidize things. You know, you don't have to subsidize in tips. But at that point, I was subsidizing my life in tips. And because it's not part of our culture here in Australia, Australians are renowned for not tipping well. So I was like, okay, I'm going to give them great service because I'm all about service, but I'm also not, I'm kind of writing off tonight. Anyways, they sit down. they have some drinks. I'm serving around, serving some other tables. And at one point, we're chatting and this guy's like, well, would you like a drink? And I'm like, well, yeah, I guess so. And this is, again, back in the good old days when you were allowed, I say in inverted commas, to drink, but it seemed socially acceptable. So I was like, yeah, let's have a drink. So the next round, I bring their drinks over. I put my vodka soda down on the table and having a chat, have to go off and serve the other tables. And I come back and the guy's not there. And I'm like, where's he gone? And his friends are all kind of laughing. And I look down and my drink is no longer the clear vodka soda that I know it to be. It's this debacle of tomato sauce, Worcestershire, salt and pepper. Like, so we had all these condiments and like literally everything is in my drink. Like, it's just this hot mess. I'm like, right. Okay, cool. So I kind of walk away, just like, I don't know why I was anticipating anything else, but that's fine. Like, I'm good. Guy comes back. He's like, I'm so sorry. My friends are such idiots. Like, let me buy you another drink. Really, I'm really sorry. It's not me, it's them. And I'm like, okay, like we all have silly friends sometimes. Buys me another drink, put it on the table, go to serve some friends, come back. Same thing has happened. My drink is destroyed. And I'm like, mate, which I didn't say mate like that because back in the day, mate was not in my vocabulary. But I'm like, buddy, I don't know where you come from that this is okay. But in my country, when you buy a girl a drink, it's kind of like a nice gesture. And this is not fun at all. And he's like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Let me buy you another drink. I'm like, yeah, you'll buy me two. And I'm going to have them out the back. And thanks heaps. Like, have a great day. And anyways, at the end of the night, he comes back up and he's like, hey, I just wanted to say I'm really sorry again for my friends. My name's Trav, and I'm really happy, like, I hope to see you again. Anyways, so off he trots. And I really didn't, like, my friend Kath was like, he was really cute, Anna. I was like, yeah, but they were such jerks, like, whatever. Anyways, so similarly at this time, I'm at this other tiny little pub, and I'm working a day shift, and I'm serving this strange French guy. And he's like, I am the chef of this amazing, sorry for my French accent, it's really bad. But I used to be like, I am the chef. I'm the chef from this amazing fishing lodge. And you, my girl, you're so perfect. You need to be the bartender. You come to my fishing lodge. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, you're some crazy drunk French guy. Like, anyways, we chatted and stuff. And again, in my head, I'm thinking, oh, geez, I've never been to a fishing lodge. I wonder what that would be like. I'm totally about new beginnings. Yeah. Anyways, he's kind of telling me a little bit about it. It's a 4-month thing right off the coast, like up the coast of Vancouver Island. Well, even further, the Queen Charlotte Islands, kind of off the coast of Alaska. And he's telling me, I'm like, well, it gets me away from here, which is really what I'm looking for right now. And all of a sudden he comes over while I'm serving a table. He's like, take this phone call. And I'm like, I'm serving people. And I get on this call. He's like, you speak to Helen. I'm like, okay. I'm like, hello. And she's like, hi, how are you? Chef tells me you're a great bartender and that you should be working for us. And I'm like, are you guys for real? Like, is somebody going to abduct me? Am I on candid camera? Like, what? I don't understand. And she's like, no, like, I'm based in Vancouver. And I'm like, listen, I don't mean to be rude, but I'm literally in the middle of my section serving another table. I can't take this call right now. She's like, do you have time in the next couple of days to come down to Vancouver? Like, this is so weird. Like, universe, what are you doing to me? Anyways, I was like, I actually do. I could come down like the day after. And she's like, okay, he's going to give you the address. You come and see me. I'm like, this is so dodgy, whatever's going on. But I was also like, I'm taking whatever's coming my way. I can't, like, it just seems too good to be true, but I love that. Mm-hmm. So 2 days later, I'm like, got my sister, because I'm like, I can't go by myself, because if these people abduct me, at least we're together, like, come with me. And we ended up on this barge, like in Vancouver, and there's this like fishing lodge that floats up the coast when it's time to go. She interviews me. She's like, the job is yours if you want it. Like it was too easy. I'm like, okay, sure. So it was like, because again, I was like, I am doing whatever feels good to me, whenever it feels good to me. And I'm not worrying about what other people are going to say or think, because that's what I've always done. I'm going to just do what is good for me right now. So I took the job and I went back to work. So I was leaving in 5 weeks to go on this fishing lodge. I had never been fishing in my life. And I went back to work, and I was again doing an après at the Longhorn, which is the big pub at the base of Whistler. And it was probably the next, I hadn't seen Trav for, I would say, 6 weeks. And so this week, this guy comes into the pub and he's like, "Hey, Anna, how are you?" I'm like, "I'm good." And I'm thinking, oh, it's what's his face's friend. I don't know, snowboarders. Like, who is this guy? Like, I'm like, "Hey." He's like, "Trav, my friends destroyed your drink." Like, oh my God, you're the guy. So again, I was like, well, that's just too uncanny. And I feel like we need to hang out. So anyways, we did. But I said to him, "Listen, I'm going away. Like, I've made plans." Because he's like, "Stay, stay, stay." I'm like, "No, no, no, because you're a guy and I'm not staying for any man, because I am not letting men run my life." And, but he, being the beautiful human that he is, was like, "Okay, you go. And then you can come to Australia after." I'm like, "Oh, after that, I've decided to go to the Cayman Islands because my friend's there." He's like, "Well, then I'm coming to the Cayman Islands for Christmas." I'm like, "Whatever, mate, that's great." Did my season in the Charlottes, which is the most incredible. If anybody gets a chance to go work at a fishing lodge, it was one of the most fun times in my life. But at the end of it, I was back home in Victoria, kind of getting ready to go to the Caymans, and there was a hurricane and 2 earthquakes that hit the Cayman Islands. And my girlfriend, who was there, that I was going to see because we were living the empowered women's life before we knew what that was, had to come home. And so this boy who had kept in contact and kept saying, "Whatever makes me stronger will make us stronger in the end," I was like, "So I guess I'm coming to visit you. I'll come for 3 months. I'll go surfing up the coast. I'll come visit you and I'll go surfing up the coast." And so on November 7th of 2004, I arrived in Australia, just following the signs. And I remember a girlfriend saying, "Anna, if you don't go see this guy, you're going to always wonder what might have been. Like, he is too kind, and like, you will always wonder." And so 16 years on, we're married with 2 beautiful girls. Like, and it brings me to tears because I think I can't believe that transpired, because it was literally the darkest moments of my days. And I was really off men, to then being like some of the best adventures, and to find literally my soulmate. It's actually incredible. Like, the universe totally brought me together. Well, and I think Pam found us together for sure in the end, is what I believe.
Absolutely. That's so beautiful. And I think so many I know for me, if I look back on life, there was many years that I did live based upon when people, like, everyone else's opinions, right? And, oh, if I make this decision, how will this affect everyone else around me? Whereas I love that you got to that point, and whether, it came from tragedy and hurt and, grief of losing Pam, but allowing that to be the wake up call that you needed to start looking at what was transpiring in the universe, and knowing that it's got your back, and just trusting and having faith in that. It's beautiful.
Yeah, thanks. I think, I just think it is magical. It's magical, that to be I just remember that feeling of openness. I remember feeling like I am ready for whatever you will bring to me. I actually used to carry a lighter in my wait apron. Yeah. And I remember saying to somebody, "Oh, it's just in case my dream guy rocks up." And they're like, "Anna, your dream guy is not going to smoke." I'm like, "I know." And I'll just have you know that Trav, I think, was the first person that asked me for that lighter. Like, he did smoke back in the day. I'm like, it was all those things. Like, it was too uncanny. So yeah, pretty incredible. So I really think people need to be tuned into your heart and and be open enough to say yes. I think is the real treasure of that, being aware enough and open enough to actually take advantage of the things that come to you, because it can be super scary. And because I never, like, if I had thought ahead and thought in 16 years time I'll still be in Australia, like, I wouldn't have gone, because I promised my mom I would never leave, and I adore her to no end and still feel a little pang in my heart that I'm not there with her. But I know she's so happy that with the life that we have and where we are. She knows I'm safe. She knows I'm loved. She knows, and couldn't be happier really in the end.
It's beautiful. And, I think life's going to throw challenge at us, whether it's someone who hurts us, is unfaithful, that we lose someone, that goes too soon. And it's having the faith and trust that there are going to be more good people around us that will treat us with respect, that will, bring more of us out versus shut us down. And I think sometimes when we have been hurt in the past, it's easy to play it safe. It's
Definitely.
easy to play life safe and go, no, I'm not gonna bother. I'm just gonna put my walls up and, protect myself. But the fact that you just kind of were like, I'm gonna use this as a reason to, to step out of that comfort zone and just say yes. I think we can all do a little bit more of that in our life for sure.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope that for people watching, for sure, or
And
listening.
And so I know, obviously, you've been here 16 years and you've got two beautiful girls, and you became a teacher and really, really passionate about, inspiring others as well. But that hasn't been the beginning and end of challenge for you. You've still had that through these 16 years. How have you allowed challenge since then to drive you instead of kind of paralyze you, which sometimes can be the thing that happens for a lot of people?
Yeah, well, it definitely is a mindset. So, I mean, and I guess 3 years ago there's two, and we were talking about this, there's two defining things that I really think about: the universe having my back, but where tragedy really struck. And 3 years ago is the same. I was in a place, my youngest was 8 months old. My oldest was 2 years old. I was in such a fog. Trav had a knee reco the 2 years before he'd had his jaw broken. We were in this crazy, I don't even know what it was, but I was not in a good place myself. It was really bringing me down, and I was about to go back to work, and I was just feeling in my heart, when you talk about those moments, like, again, like, life was too short. Like, I was going back, and I love teaching and I love what I was doing, but I was in this leadership role that was really a lot of pressure. And I was seeing that I wasn't, maybe not going to be able to do it the way I wanted it to. And so I was just like, had this pain, didn't know what it was. And I came across tribal wellness in this really odd, like, Facebook or whatever. And I was like, said to Trav, this gives me, I'm excited just by reading about these women and what's going on and their focus on health and empowering people. And I don't know, Trav, I need to look into this. And he's like, okay, like, he is my rock and he is my supporter. And he was like, yeah, okay, like, I get that. And so I sort of started on this journey. I felt excited because all of a sudden I had this hope that I could work on myself, my health, because it was bad. Like, I was having horrible anxiety. I was just not myself anymore. And so I had this kind of bubble of hope, this light that was coming up, and like, some could say, like, your gut, like, it's telling you something. And it almost was nervous, like, there's that point too where I think people need to go, like, that nervous energy is not necessarily bad. It might be just pushing out of your comfort zone. Like, it's not what you're used to, but it isn't bad. And so I said to Trav, I am going to look into being a part of this incredible tribe of women and just seeing where it goes. And he was super supportive. And as I got into our business and our program and everything, I was like, this is what lights me up. I want to help people's health. I want to help empower people to live the life they want, because that's what I'm about. And I could feel in my bones, like, time's too short. There was a couple of friends that their parents had been were retiring, but when they're retiring, they were getting sick and not being able to go and enjoy their lives. And so I was like, Trav, I know this is crazy, but I can't go back to work. And he's like, I don't, okay. And was sort of open to listening. And I'm like, any ounce of reality would say this doesn't make sense. But it just was like, I feel like our time is too short. I feel like we need to enjoy time now. We need to be with the girls. And I really needed time for myself. Like I needed to enjoy life for me, because that's where I felt I lost it. I was drowning in all the responsibility of life. I felt like I couldn't even breathe. I was like, this could lighten it up. Although I love teaching and I love my job and the people I work with, this might actually give me breathing space to find me again. And so he was like, yeah. And I'm like, it's, like I was making a really good wage and it doesn't make sense, Trav. And he's like, but we have learned to live with you on maternity leave. Like money doesn't define us, Anna. Our happiness is what defines us. And you can create, he's beautiful because he believed I can create anything, given time. And so I had to make a really hard call. I had to call one of my best friends, who is the assistant principal at the school that I was working at. And I was like, listen, and it was not long before school got out for the year. I'm like, I can't come back next year. I just don't know what it is, but I need to work on what I'm working on. Like I need to work on my business and I just need to work on me. And it's not the right time for me to come back. And he was like, I don't get this and you're crazy and all this stuff. But he was fine and very respectful and knows me. So it was like, I've got your back and I wish you every success. And I had even said to him, I just know that we need to make the most of this time. And I'm not if I go back to school.
Can I ask you a question right there? Because I think sometimes, you got a degree. Mm-hmm. You were really great at what you did, but you reached a place as a mama of two where it's like, okay, the path that I'm on is not fulfilling me like it did or like I hoped it would. Yeah. It takes a lot of courage to make a different choice and to pivot. Beautiful that you had Trav's support. Like that's mm-hmm. so special that he, really saw that for you. But what would you say to someone, a woman maybe in a similar situation where she's feeling frustration or agitation with the path that she's on, to have enough courage to pivot? And maybe it's not quit everything that you're doing right now and do something else. It could be something gradual over time. But what's the mindset, or what's maybe some advice that you have that could help someone in a similar situation?
I just think that we need to know we're worth it and that our happiness is worth it. To be honest, like I know Trav's support was good, but I had to make the decision. But him saying that, and I know we all need money. Like we need to have income, and I am totally supportive of that and knowing of that. I'm grateful that Trav's profession, allowed me to not go back to work. Like that was good. But I kept resonating with our happiness is worth more than money. And that sometimes, like, however much money we have in the world or accolades or success, however that is traditionally found, is good. But if you're drowning, which is what I was, like if you can't feel yourself anymore, if you can't feel your heart tick and don't know where you're connected to, then what is the point? And I would just really encourage you to consider that and think about how you can make yourself light up again, however big or small, because, and what we do can be big or small. But for me, I needed to, I needed that separation to really work on it and find my path. But I think that's it. I think consider happiness. And yes, we all need to live and make sure that you have the ability to do so. But what can you do that will actually serve you long term? And what can you do that is going to make you the happiest person? Because also as a mom, I wasn't being my best mom because I wasn't happy. My girl, I wasn't being my best me for them or for Trav. He noticed that. So I think, and then think about what steps can you actually take that are uncomfortable. This phone call that I made to my friend was so uncomfortable. I'm like, what are you doing, Anna? Every part of rationale is like, you went to school. I went to school for 7 years, people, to be a teacher because I came to this country and had to finish my degree. I started again. I should be a lawyer, for crying out loud. Like it took me a long time. And so I was like, can I walk away from that? And I feel like and again, I haven't walked away from it. I continue to be on leave because there's part of me that's connected to it. But I also know that I needed to do this. So if you can find a way to upskill yourself, or find something that inspires you that you can listen to, or just give yourself something that starts to find that happiness again and connect you to, maybe some bigger purpose. Because wholeheartedly, I believe teaching was my purpose. Like, I went into that profession and have done I'm very proud of all the things that I've done. But like, when you look in the mirror and can't really smile and be super excited to be getting out of bed to do what you're doing, I think we should all really pay attention to ourselves more and give ourselves the courage, to find happiness again. I think we've been so money driven in this society for so long that happiness has taken the back step. And I truly believe it should take the front step.
I love that. And I think, having losing Pam when you did probably made that even more clearer in your mind. I can relate where for many years I was doing things that I was good at, but it stopped lighting me up. And I think anyone can do that for a period of time. And sometimes you have to, you just got to suck it up and push through. However, when that becomes the norm and you're just genuinely unfulfilled and there's something else out there that's going to bring you happiness, like you said, that flow-on effect to your children, to your partner, to everyone around you, there's a cost to that. And sometimes because we see dollars in the bank, we go, oh no, I need to keep doing this. And we actually shut our mind off to possibility of what else could be out there. So I love what you just shared then. That's amazing.
And because it is scary. I don't doubt, like, I totally, I hear that for anybody thinking about things. Like, I get it. But I think what's scarier is, and I guess that takes me to where we ended up, 2 weeks after that phone call, I was standing in a doctor's office and didn't even get a chance to sit down before somebody, comes so quick, sorry. Before the doctor was telling me that Trav had cancer. And it was like all those things, like, and I'm all big on manifesting. So part of me is like, Anna, I hope you didn't manifest that for him, because I could feel it, but he had it. And I think I knew innately that time was precious for us, and that was the hammer. I'm like, oh my God, Trav, like, we just said yes to building a life that allows us to have time to travel more and do things more. And literally my worst fear in 20 years just came to our doorsteps today. And so it was that moment again. Like, I thought I was floored. I've been floored many times in my life. I've had many things that have happened that have caused great loss in my heart. But when Trav got sick, that was the hardest day of my life for so many reasons. He is my soulmate and my best friend, but he's like those girls' father and the person that we all look up to, like, he is the fun. He is at dinner time running around scaring them so they scream. And the thought of that world changing was too scary to imagine, for sure. But so in that moment too, it would have probably been easy for me to say, oh my gosh, I can't work on this business right now, or oh my gosh, I can't. And we could have, gone again into a dark place. But what again became really apparent to me was just what I've been thinking, that this life is too short, that we need to enjoy it today. Like, buses could hit us, or, whatever. Like, we have no control, but what we have control of is the now. And so what I loved was I was in a position that I could be at every single appointment, that I could hold his hand when he was getting chemo, that when we had to go to Melbourne to have surgeries, we could be there. And when I needed to leave him in Melbourne, I could come home and be with the girls without distraction. And, in the meantime, when I was not doing those things, I had something really positive to focus on. And I know, some people during that time questioned me. They're like, how can you be positive? How can you be spruiking health? How can you still be sharing things? Because they knew that we were really running a huge challenge. But I was like, how can I not? How can to be able to share something positive, to be able to have some light, to be able to have a community around me that supported me and, was happy even when things weren't good, was probably the biggest gift out of it all. Being around, and I have tremendous friends, in this business and outside, but I think I was so grateful that we were in a place that I could still be doing something that I was passionate about in a hospital bed. Like I remember waiting for him to come out of surgery and, working on recipes or helping somebody with their health. And I was like, I'm so grateful that I can, because it's also a really good distraction I don't want to wallow in this. I'm not signing him out. We're not losing him. I will not lose him. So yeah, it was just another step to get over, and to, again, I think, go into gratitude, always be so grateful. I'm so grateful for all that Trav is in my life. It's incredible the last 16 years, but I'm grateful that we've gone through that hardship now too, because, we're stronger. We have so much more knowledge about what we want and how we want to show up in this world, and him too. So I think, we could have been angry, we could have been spiteful, we could have thought the worst, we could have done all these things. I could have given up on my dream to have my own business because it was hard, but instead we leaned into it and have come out the side even better than before. So
thank you for sharing that, honey. And I just want to honor your realness. I think watching your journey, and you have, from the moment I met you, been just a ray of sunshine, like just full of beans. And I know you say you don't like nightlife, but when you do dance, you are like,
I love a dance. There's no doubt.
But what I love is that, there's a saying that says it's not what happens to us, it's the story that you give what happens to you that defines, your future. And just seeing the way that you have both moved through such challenge, but to actually allow that to define you in a positive way, to bring gratitude, to remind you about what matters. And I think, like you said earlier, you could have just been wallowing in everything. And of course, I'm sure you had emotions of feeling anger and frustration and fear and all of those things. It's not to say you don't feel that.
And totally okay to feel that.
It is, but then where's your center of gravity? And what I love about your journey is that you deliberately had your center of gravity in a place of that gratitude and focusing on what you can do, what you can put time and effort into, rather than being a victim and a victim to circumstance. And that's really powerful. And we can apply that in, everyday life.
Yeah. I think, and I hope that people do. I hope that people, if you are in a hard place, like I say, I totally felt sadness and all those things, and victim. I did the why me, but it is, how can you grow out of that, and what do you have to be grateful for, to move forward to. And I think the more we can, as a world, look at that, and communities look at how can we grow from this, the better it is going to be for everyone, which is
there a quote, or maybe a mantra, or something that was a reminder, or something that you revisited often to kind of help you move through those hard times? Do you have a favorite quote, or someone that's kind of
it's Ralph Waldo Emerson. I know that the only person you're destined to become is the person you decide to be. And I really believe that we have the ability to decide who we want to be and who we want to show up to, regardless of our circumstance. We all have the ability to decide to grow and to change things. So that's when I was teaching, I taught the kids, and I think it's just really resonated throughout all that I've done over the last few years, for sure.
I know before we started recording, we were also talking about not making your challenges become your excuse, but become your reason why too.
Yeah.
And I know that's something that you're really passionate about, and watching you coach and mentor so many women and helping them, find themselves and find their story and see the value that they have to bring, and empowering other women. It's been so amazing watching that unfold for you. So I guess just in wrapping up from this beautiful story, and there's so many lessons in this. Is there something that you would love our listeners to kind of take away from today? Maybe a step that they can take, from listening to this to step forward into their next level of greatness. What is it that you'd love everyone to do?
I honestly think we all just need to take a breath sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Take a breath and tune into your heart, tune into your intuition, to your gut, whatever you want to call it, and actually feel and move towards that direction. I think we all think there's a right way and a wrong way, and we think we should do this, and this is what society tells us, or however it looks, or I have to do this because these are my responsibilities. And sometimes it's the have to, should gets all bogged down, and we get so bogged down. And if we just take a minute to take a real deep breath in and really feel it, like I always do, even in this moment now, because I feel grateful, for you, Kate, and for anybody listening, that hopefully this impacts you in some way. But just take that breath, give yourself a minute to actually breathe again, because so often we're not, and just feel where it is you want to be, and however big or small, honor that. Start honoring ourselves, just in small moments even, and see. I challenge you to see what magic could occur, because I truly believe the universe does have our back. I believe, if you're open to those signs and lean in and say yes, magic can happen. And I really hope to hear some of those stories when they start coming.
Beautiful. Well, I know for people to want to connect with you and learn more, they can go to annacameronbosse.com. We're going to put the link into the show notes, and also the link to your social media as well. Circling back to, I guess, Trav's health journey as well. I know you guys have been through a lot, but you're renovating the house right now.
We're all systems go at the moment. So, and he is a picture of health. So he's great, and we will be always proactive. I think, may I just say, the other thing is be proactive in your health. Honor yourself. If you think something's not right, please see somebody. If you want to change your health, see somebody, because Trav was really brave. A lot of men would have seen signs. He had bowel cancer, and so a little bit graphic. There's, blood in his stool at some point, and he remembers sitting on the couch watching our girls playing and just thinking, he didn't think anything was really wrong, but he did have the thought, they need me. I need to get this checked. I can't just sit idly by. And I think that's a really good reminder to everybody too, don't just sit on your hands and wait for life. We need to be proactive too, and take charge of our health as well. We are happy and healthy and renovating and putting up walls, and ready for our next adventure. Hopefully it will be traveling again soon.
Incredible. Well, thank you so much again for your time, honey. I've learned so much about you and sharing your beautiful story and the highs and lows, and I know everyone else listening has as well. So thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Kate.
Wow, so much to take away from our amazing interview with Anna Cameron-Bosse today. I can't wait to hear some of the aha moments that you had, and I just love the way that she shared her story and just the lessons that she was able to learn through really tough times. And I think we all are going to have those times in our life, whether we like it or not. It's not what happens to us, but it's the meaning we give it, and how we show up on the other side, and how we continue to live our best life. So if you want to learn more, head across to empoweredwomensproject.com, and we would also love it. We love reviews. If you want to come over to iTunes and give us a 5-star rating and share a little bit of love, we would absolutely appreciate it. We're always on the lookout for empowered people showing others how to live their best life. So if there's anyone on your mind that we should talk to and be able to share their story, please connect as well. Until next time, have an amazing day.